Now at 6, blowing cold air. What the Bourbon County Sheriff says about a problem with the jail's HVAC system. And before they head off for Topeka, local lawmakers share what will be their focus in this legislative session.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Bourbon County Jail and its inmates are fighting the cold without a working HVAC. This is KOAM News at 6. The jail's HVAC unit is blowing cold air instead of hot air. The sheriff says it's been a problem for months. When we spoke to him, his office was 59 degrees. The jail's had to get creative to keep inmates warm and safe until a permanent fix can be found.
It is cool back there in the inmates, but we do provide blankets, extra blankets for the inmates. And if it gets to a point where a decision between myself and the jail administrator feels that it is too cold for them, then we'll make arrangements in regards to housing them somewhere else.
The Bourbon County Commission is investigating the issue. Authorities are investigating the discovery of a body following a house fire in Miami, Oklahoma. The fire was at a home on G Street Southwest last night. Police say the person found dead in a bedroom was a male, but they have not released the identity. They say there is no sign of foul play. Investigators say there was no power to the home and it appeared to be heated with a portable gas heater. Jasper County authorities are questioning a man following a death and an apparent shooting in Joplin. Deputies responded to a report of an altercation on South Malang Road around noon today and found a 50-year-old man dead in the yard with an apparent gunshot wound. They detained a 75-year-old man for questioning, but they say they are not looking for anyone else and that the public is not in any danger. Checking in with Nick Kelly now for a first look at the weather.
And all's quiet so far, Dow, as we get this Friday evening underway. Nothing to show on the radar network. It is completely bone dry, but that's going to change as we go into not only the very late night ahead of us, but into tomorrow as well. We've just seen cloud cover come and go throughout the course of the day. We're seeing that break into cloud cover once again, but with an upper level wave coming out of Colorado and a warm front on the way, that is going to bring cloud cover back in overnight. Maybe some areas of drizzle, maybe freezing drizzle for a short period of time. But all of this outside is quiet. It's also cold, most of us, ranging from the mid-20s in our very far northern counties to the mid-30s elsewhere, especially in our southern counties. When you factor in the breeze, it feels like the teens and the 20s all across the region. Again, the southeast breeze light for now at 5 to 10 miles per hour, but it's going to pick up during the overnight. That means lows, midnight lows early around 27 and across the region as well, but that number will rise as we go into Saturday morning. We'll see how that plays with our rain chances on the way coming up in a bit now.
See you soon. Some Kansas lawmakers made a stop in Pittsburgh today for the chamber's legislative send-off. They discussed a number of topics they're focusing on for the upcoming legislative session. KOAM's Chris Warner was there and joins us in our studio now with more.
3 representatives and a senator were at today's send-off. We spoke with some of them about what their key goals are for the upcoming year for the state. 4 legislators, 4 different goals. That was the theme Friday at the legislative send-off in Pittsburgh. One of the goals involves the state's grocery sales tax. It's one of the top on the list for 2nd District Representative Ken Collins.
We have one of the higher sales tax rates in the country, and our sales tax rate statewide is 6.5%. Of course, counties and cities, they add on sometimes a percent or two there. So we want to reduce or eliminate the state portion of that, if at all possible.
Representative Collins says it's a key point for him as it directly impacts border areas in the state, especially southeast Kansas.
We have competition, people shopping in Missouri and people shopping in Oklahoma. And sometimes when a person is settling in this area, that is part of what goes into their idea what side of the border they should be on. And I just want to see Kansas get more of a fair deal there.
Another issue on the table for economic growth is the Highway 69 corridor. Plans are already moving forward to expand it to 4 lanes all the way to Pittsburgh. But 3rd District Representative Chuck Smith says more needs to be done.
If you look at the bypass right now in Pittsburgh, there's 7 stoplights from one end of town to the other end of town. And it's no longer a bypass, it's a busy road. So we need a corridor to get the truckers and so forth around town.
The other topics discussed today included funding for Pittsburgh's wastewater plant, as well as legislative redistricting. We'll have more on some of those topics tonight on the KOAM News at 9 and 10.
All right, Chris, thanks. A new Kansas Supreme Court ruling means people can still sue Kansas counties over mask mandates and other COVID-19 restrictions and obtain a quick trial court decision. The court declined to consider whether it's constitutional for a state law to require trial court judges to rule on such lawsuits within 10 days. It concluded that a Johnson County judge had no business striking down the law in a case that dealt with another legal question. COVID-19 cases are surging in the U.S., and that's also the case in some jails. The St. Louis County, Missouri Justice Center says its jail is experiencing an outbreak. At least 13% of inmates had tested positive as of yesterday. The number is likely to rise because others are showing symptoms. Among staff, the infection rate is roughly 8%. Most center workers are vaccinated, but most inmates are not. Still ahead, if you're in the market for a new house and you have, let's say, a few $1 million lying around, boy, we have a deal for you with a lot of history. And later, we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see some rivals take the court because the Missouri Southern Pitt State game is postponed. You could be the proud new owner of this mansion in Carthage, assuming, of course, that you have a spare $3.1 million hanging around. Most of us don't, but we wanted to see inside anyway, so KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks took a tour.
My mother, she had a love affair with this home, and she wanted it to be pristine. A lot of bathrooms, a lot of kitchens, a lot of laundry. I asked her one day, I said, Mom, why did you do this? Why did you do all this? Because I could. I said, well, that's a good enough reason, but maybe there's another reason. Would you call this maybe a collection? She liked to collect antiques, so would this be a collection? She said, yes, it is. So this was her collection. She loved it. She loved this whole property. And she liked it because it was, historic. The stories about Dr. Carter's, lots of stories. But it was really interesting to see her tear it apart, put it back together. She rewired it, replumbed it, and she repaired the ceilings. These ceilings are sheetrock covered over plaster, because plaster will be on the ground here now. My mother decided she wanted a small carriage house to park her car. And so she built the carriage house to the back of us here. Interestingly enough, she decided she wanted a tunnel as well because she didn't want to be outside transversing between here and between the carriage house and the Carter mansion. So there's a tunnel that connects the two. It's a dry tunnel, it's underground. The little guy, my mother told me one day she wanted to have a fountain. And I listened to her on Sunday morning. We had breakfast and would have idle talk. She said, I want a lion's head with water coming out of his mouth and a pool below for a fountain. And I was a little guy, but I thought, we'll see. One day she called me. She'd come up here to my office. So I came up to the hill, went down her office, and lo and behold, there was a lion with water spitting out of its mouth into a pool below, a pretty nice sized pool. There's no way that our family could take care of this. This is a big property. A lot of upkeep, a lot of gardening, a lot of mowing, a lot of heating, a lot of maintenance on the heating and air systems. And it's a great deal of preservation.
Later, the Kansas City Chiefs looking to preserve their long winning streak against the Broncos this weekend. The voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis, has a preview in sports.
But first, I am tracking rain. Chances need to pick back up as early as tomorrow morning. We'll start breaking that down on the full forecast up next. Before we kicked off the top of the 6 o'clock hour, we saw temperatures top out in the mid-30s at the very least this afternoon. In fact, I can show you the numbers from Joplin Regional so far today. In fact, looking back over the past 36 hours, it was just downright cold the other day, even though it was nice that last wave gave us some snow, especially during our Thursday morning. we barely made it into the upper teens and lower 20s the other day. But after we dropped back in the lower teens this morning, it is nice that we're finally back above freezing today, with so far topping out as warm as 35 degrees. But looking down the road, we got another wave, or two rather, on the way. Starting with tonight's wave and Saturday's wave in particular, that is going to bring some drizzle, maybe freezing drizzle chances for some of you late tonight. But as temperatures warm throughout the day Saturday, that'll switch over to mainly rain chances. The second wave dries us out, but leaves us cold for Sunday. Then we're looking pretty good temperature-wise for much of next week. After a nice change of pace, 40s and 50s lining up for a good portion of next week. In the short term, though, we're still looking quiet from Joplin, 32 degrees with a southeast breeze at 9. Well, light, relatively speaking, but still strong enough to make it feel like 24 degrees around downtown and by the airport. Everybody's in the mid-20s in our northern counties to about the mid-30s in our southern counties. Everybody else right in between those two numbers, but you factor in that breeze, it is making it feel like, let's say, the mid to upper teens around Stockton Lake to about the mid-20s elsewhere. But in terms of how we look for the rest of the evening, relatively quiet before that next wave out west rolls on in. We drop to 27 at midnight. That will be our overnight low starting at midnight. Then temperatures will actually rise as we go into Saturday morning, ahead of not just the approaching upper level wave, but ahead of our approaching warm front that's still parked out to the west. But that is on the way to push us back into the 40s tomorrow. However, here's the upper level setup. There's the first wave I'm watching coming out of Colorado, and there's a second wave out of California. That's going to bring in the colder air back in as we go into Sunday. So let's time everything out for you here. We're quiet throughout this evening, no problems whatsoever, but it will be cold as we drop back into the mid to upper 20s by the midnight hour. That south wind does pick up. We'll start warming up during the overnight, but here's 3 a.m. Cloud cover really begins to thicken up, and this is where by 6 a.m. we can see some areas of drizzle and freezing drizzle for some of you. It's going to be a short window of opportunity though for any freezing drizzle, because once we go deeper into the morning and certainly by the afternoon, it is warm enough for just rain chances, scattered showers for the rest of our Saturday. In fact, speaking of those temperatures, we go from 34 at 6 a.m., 44 by noon, and highs near 48. Those numbers don't look bad, keeping us mainly with rain chances. Then I do think the rain chances will clear out through Sunday morning before we drop back near 30 in the morning and then upper 30s for Sunday afternoon. As far as rain estimates, not a big washout, but can't rule out some minor accumulations around, well, let's say a quarter of an inch at the most across much of the region. So 48 Saturday with our rain chances picking up. It may start its freezing drizzle for a few spots, but again, not looking like a big deal at this point. Something I'll still watch though. 38 for Sunday, dry during the afternoon hours. 46 Monday, and plenty of 50s Tuesday through Friday of next week, Dal. And I've got another system I'll track by next Thursday and Friday.
Get into the 50s this time of year, we will take it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up in sports, it's semifinal night at the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School, and COVID-19 forces schedule changes for Pitt State and Missouri Southern basketball. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas and Missouri Southern Lions were scheduled to meet for a rivalry doubleheader tomorrow afternoon. However, those games have been postponed due to COVID protocols in both Pitt State programs. Now, instead of tomorrow, two teams will meet in Joplin on February 16th. And that means they'll play twice in the same week, that Wednesday, and turn around and play Saturday the 19th. Now, in addition to those changes, Pitt State is moving next Wednesday's home doubleheader against Emporia State to Thursday. You can check out the full release and schedule changes on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. Tonight is semifinal night at the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School. The tournament host Eagles are in the Final Four after beating Jeff City 70-64 last night. Now tonight, it's another tough one for Joplin, facing Francis Howell. The Vikings got started with a 67-14 win over Nevada last night. That one begins at 7:30. The other semifinal game features Webb City and William Chrisman. These two teams, two of the best in the state in Class 5. Webb City ranked number 8. William Chrisman is number 9. That one starts at 9 o'clock because they hate sports reporters. I have the latest from both games right here tonight at 10. The Kansas City Chiefs are 11-5 overall with just one game remaining in the regular season. That game is tomorrow afternoon on the road against Denver, a team they've beaten 12 straight times dating back to 2015. Like we do every Friday night during the season, right now, it's time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, this week's Minute with Mitch.
One of the biggest and most underrated reasons the Chiefs have won the AFC West 6 years in a row has been the Chiefs' ability to find, build, and use undrafted players better than any other team in the NFL. Currently, 25% of the Chiefs roster is made up of undrafted players. See if any of these guys have led to success. Byron Pringle, Javarius Ward, Darrell Williams, throw in Turk Wharton, Tommy Townsend, Derek Gore, and of course the very dirty Dan Sorensen, who has 4 career pick sixes, including 2 against Denver. This week, the Chiefs close out the regular season at Denver, trying to beat the Broncos for a record 13th straight time. It might be the undrafted free agents that keep the streak alive. We love the draft, but the Chiefs love the undrafted guys who win on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by KOAM Jewelry. Every day's game day, KOAM Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
That Chiefs-Broncos game kicks off at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. The Chiefs, by the way, are 11-point favorites. And that's a look at sports. We're back after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Albin Severt served in the U.S. Army. His hometown, Walnut, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Albin Severt. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments today on COVID vaccinations. Also, the December jobs report once again missing economists' expectations. And researchers say goldfish can do more than what we expect. They're capable of things like driving, in case you'd ever want a goldfish to drive. That, and a lot more, coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. A football player for the Kansas City Chiefs is helping shelter dogs find their forever homes. Defensive lineman Derek Noddy partners with the KC Pet Project and has helped more than 100 dogs get adopted. Alan Shope tells us how he does it.
She's such a nice girl.
3-year-old pit bull mix Stella might be wanting the Chiefs to win this weekend more than she even understands. Stella is a naughty dog, a Derek naughty dog. According to the KC Pet Project, it's one of the most successful programs in our area to get shelter dogs adopted.
It was his idea. He really loves dogs. He has 2 himself that are pit bull dogs.
The Chiefs D lineman is constantly fighting for pets, posting videos like this one.
I'm trying to keep our dogs' collars and tags on at all times.
To help promote the welfare of our pets. In fact, after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in 2020, he paid for 120 adoption fees. Today, close to 200 animals have been adopted through his Naughty Dogs campaign.
For every Chiefs win, he sponsors an adoption fee, and that dog usually goes home and turns around and goes home very, very quickly.
Tori says the reason it's such a good program is because Naughty Dogs are dogs that have a little bit more difficult time getting adopted.
The ones that need a little bit of extra marketing.
I just felt like it was kind of my duty to help out my area.
And that's something pets like Stella can really appreciate.
Kansas City Pet Project says if the Chiefs win on Saturday, and they will win tomorrow, you can go to the website to see the latest Naughty Dog that will be up for free adoption. Derek Noddy, unfortunately, will not be playing in the game because he's out with injury, right?
I love those stories, though. I love seeing athletes do cool stuff like that.
Yeah. Those dogs, it's great for them, too. Mm-hmm. The weather not too bad this weekend. Rainy, but the temperature's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, we'll have to flirt with the freezing mark for some areas tomorrow morning. That can lead to some freezing drizzle or drizzle to start today, but as soon as we go into the 40s easily by tomorrow afternoon, any drizzle we have will just be scattered light rain chances.
Final sports notes.
Got a little C&C rivalry tonight. Galena hosting Frontenac basketball. Girls playing right now. Boys at 7:30. We'll have those highlights right here tonight at 10.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. We will see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a great evening.